So, ladies and gentlemen, dear colleagues, and I think even more friends than we were 3 days ago, since we spent together here 3 days, professional friends and I think personal friends, I would like to welcome you to this closing session of, I think, what was a fascinating 3 days of talking to each other, listening to each other, and trying to understand each other even better than we did before we started. This closing ceremony has 3 parts. When I announced the conference started, I said there will be at least 2 moments where we would like to declare this not just a conference, but something which will last. And I would like to remind you that one of the elements of lasting elements of this conference is a call for joint exploratory projects, which is still out there. I was hoping that I will receive by end of the day at least 50. I received so far about 20. There is still a chance, do it quickly, and we hope that many of these ideas will be brought together to collaborative project which IIASA would fund for 1 year duration. We also have very serious work around the posters. And I said at the beginning that the best posters will be rewarded in 3 categories. We have a poster award as the best poster for the early career scientist. This is a scientist who did finish the PhD between, maximum 5 years after PhD, a mid-career scientist, maximum 10 years after PhD, an overall winner of the poster session. The winners in these categories will be invited at IIASA cost to come back for 1 week here to explore collaboration with our programs and outside of IIASA too, with the IIASA external faculty. And if this winner is a IIASA staff, of course I will not pay him double or something, but she or he will have a chance to go anywhere in the world to collaborate with system analyst colleagues for 1 week and to come back with interesting project proposal or paper or something like that. And then we have a special award, which is a Twitter award, where basically we look into the most frequently retweeted quote, which also has a nice prize. I will do this now, announcing winners. After this, we will go to yet another substantive part of the conference, and this will be a conference synthesis, at this stage at least, by 2 vice chairs of the conference, Elena Rovenskaya and Wolf Dickman. The winners, by the way, of these categories also were given a task, and we asked them, because they were known last night, to prepare short, maximum 5-minute scientific summary of their poster. So they are also rewarded by additional work, so to speak, but rewarded by giving the presentation here. So let me then go to the announcement of the winners, and we will start with the early career scientist. This is PhD since 2010, and we have a second best, and the winner is Gergely Boza. It's a IIASA, and his poster is about systemic risk dilemmas emerging from reactive investments, together with supervisor and colleague Ulf Dickman. I would like to ask Gergely to join me here at the stage, and I would like you also to join me in giving him. The prize for the second is, of course, very nice diploma, and to stay in the style of bridging between everything, especially music and science, CD of the Wiener Philharmoniker together with IIASA partnership. Thank you very much. Congratulations. Now the winner in the category Early Career Scientist is going to show up now. It's Henrik Sjödin from IIASA. Henrik, to me here. Again, the prize is diploma and of course CD, and in your case, to go somewhere, everything is fine except for Antarctica and Alaska. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right, so I'm just being told that we have a presentation now, so I'm going to appear stage and you do your presentation. Then we go to the next one. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Director General, Professor Kabat, and the whole of IIASA. I did not expect this at all. And I'm very encouraged now when my poster won this. Let's see, this is the right one. Right, this is, the work behind this poster is a joint work together with Åke Brännström, Rupert Matsuko, and Ulf. And the work here is very much related to the tragedy of the commons, public goods cooperation, which has recurrently been discussed here at this conference. And as we know, game theory has, through very stylized quantitative models, served to unfold the core processes that govern the nature of cooperation. And for instance, it is now obvious that cooperation in groups is unstable if there is no stabilizing mechanisms. And the best strategy for the individuals is to not cooperate to the effect. But now, along with the further development in game theory, I think research now is pushing, well caught between oversimplification and intractability, to understand cooperation on a more complex situation, and now applying these theories on a systems scale. And large organizational units like cities and whole communities or countries and so forth, they can typically be subdivided into local groups. And between these groups, individuals may transfer. And it's well known that the group structure within these communities is very important to the outcome to the success of cooperative efforts. However, what is not so well known is how these group structures develop. So knowledge on how group structure dynamically unfold and develop jointly with cooperation. This is quite limited, and this is very much at the core of this work behind this poster. So, in 1956 already, the public economist Charles Thibault actually suggested that foot voting as an intergroup migration behavior would be a powerful bottom-up solution to the free rider problem in local governance, as he believed that large communities would self-organize into an optimal type of group structure. So now in this project, we apply evolutionary game theory to social group formation and find that this type of foot voting spontaneously emerges in large group structured communities. This in turn makes way for cooperation to develop in non-cooperative communities, which transform into highly cooperative group structured communities. And this image here is supposed to illustrate this process over time here. This large axis down here shows basically 4 types of group structures that have developed correspondingly to what you see in the upper row of plots, which is the foot voting strategies. And we see that the group structure dynamically changes, and this process gives rise and the formation of cooperative structured communities. And what you see, the red dots are defectors and the green ones are cooperators. So, and as such, we can say that this Thibault hypothesis finds support now in evolutionary game theory, that this actually works and is an emergent, emerges in communities through time. Now, now sort of taking this foot voting out of the context of public economics and so forth, it's really a really basic sorting principle of saying either yes or no to staying in local situation, depending on the local the quality of the local environment. So it's intriguing to think that this mechanism might be quite general and occurring at many different types of social and biological levels of organization. And potential also on very basic biological levels, as sort of exemplified or suggested here by 6 species in a genus of green algae, which is a popular model organism for understanding the transition from unicellular life to multicellular life. Well, thank you very much.
I think it's fantastic to see that, of course, nobody knew from them they will be presenting, and we gave them last-minute warning, and I think to turn complicated story is something which can be in 5 minutes is remarkable. So thank you, and also to those who are coming next. I am now in the mid-career scientist category, which, by the way, is defined differently. At IIASA, we defined it much broader, but anyway, in this case, it's a last 10 years PhD and not longer ago. Second best poster is won by Joachim Lundgren from Lund University in Technology, Sweden. I would ask him to join me here. So this is actually a friend. This is not him, but this is Sylvain Leduc from IIASA. So he will get second applause to be able to transmit it to real winner, okay? Thank you. And we go to the winner in the category mid-career scientist, Christiane Zarfel from Tübingen in Germany. Is Christiane here? And I think she deserves a very big hand. I was told, so this just be, okay, thank you. And we will now ask you to give your presentation.
Yeah, thanks a lot, and I'm very happy to give a presentation here on my poster now. So maybe just a few words about my background. So I studied applied system science in Osnabrück in northwestern Germany. And just since last September, I have a junior professorship at the University of Tübingen in environmental systems analysis. And so you can imagine that I really feel at home here at this conference and at IIASA. So thanks a lot. About the poster, I would also like to thank my co-authors here. Which is Jürgen Berlekamp from the Institute of Environmental Systems Research in Osnabrück. Then we have Clement Tockner, who is from the Leibniz Institute of Freshwater Ecology and Inland Fisheries in Berlin. And Julia Kleinteich, she's also here, and she's also from the University of Tübingen and working in my group. So thanks a lot for supporting me. The title of the poster is A Dam Future for African Rivers, and it's with a question mark. And that's because we have just started on this topic. So the background of the story is a little bit that we have been thinking about climate change, and that climate change is not the only change that we are facing in the world, but that we have several aspects why hydropower is one of the electricity sources that is of major interest. So why especially also in Africa. So we can see a rapid economic development, which is about 5% per year. And we have a large electricity gap still in Africa, which is almost 70%. Then we have climate change, and only about 8% of the hydropower potential in Africa is exploited so far. So we can expect the construction of about 300 future hydropower dams in Africa, which are larger than 1 megawatt. And a high number of people are directly depending on the river, for example, for fisheries or also on floodplain grazing or agriculture. We also have conditions in the reservoirs for hydropower that favor toxic cyanobacterial blooms and reduce the drinking water quality. And finally, we also have a large unique freshwater biodiversity in Africa, which is under threat, together with those greenhouse gas emissions that might result also from reservoirs and especially in the tropics. So I would also like to mention that we, in the future, would like to focus also on additional health impacts from those reservoirs that favor conditions for water-associated diseases. So what are our objectives? So this project is funded for 2 years, so it's more an initial project that would like to raise the awareness of the dimensions and also of the consequences of future dam building in Africa. And we would like to integrate the social and the environmental consequences. You might think now, okay, of course, but the economic part is still missing, and yes, that's true. But we would like to start with these 2 aspects of sustainability, and then in a larger project that hopefully follows, we would like also to take economic aspects into consideration. And the long-term idea actually is that we would like to support prioritization and also decision-making on where to build dams and also on how to operate them so that it's a sustainable solution. This is the figure which is on the poster and which can be more easily be investigated actually on the poster, but it quickly shows a few aspects that we would like to focus on. So in green there are the more environmental issues like habitat change and biodiversity loss, but also sediment trapping and greenhouse gas emissions. But we would like to link this with more social aspects, like water-associated diseases, drinking water quality, but also relocation and downstream impacts on the riparian human population. These aspects are all interlinked, of course, and we hope that with the tools of systems analysis, we can derive solutions to have a sustainable hydropower construction also in African countries. Thanks a lot.
Second best poster tie. Meaning there are 2 winners. And I would like to ask Linda C., who actually was at the podium just before break. Linda, please join me here. And Amandine Pastor, she's in the room. Join me here. Linda is, of course, citizen scientist and crowdsourcer. We have already heard it. And Amandine is working on water and climate and modeling. And Amandine is also my PhD student. I was not involved in any of the selections. I would like to make a disclaimer here. But here they are, so let me congratulate them both. Linda. I hope I'm giving some right and check it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
And now the winner means of all categories together, best poster overall out of 98, I think? 98. It's quite something. Jukka Kaihko from Turku University in Finland. Jukka, where you are, please join me here. And big hand. little bit of difference here. Of course, there is a CD and there is a diploma, but to remember this winning mode here, you also have to get IIASA commemorative coin, which is a sterling silver, hopefully sitting on your collections for whole career. This for you. Okay.
I'm so surprised. I actually lost my faith in democratic decision making, at least momentarily when I heard about this decision, because my poster is there. And I think this is accidental innovation. It must be something to do with the IIASA spirit. That when I was compiling the poster at home, I was struggling with the fact that we all share the same thing. There's too much information to be put on a poster. So I ended up then making it very slim. I just added some figures and legends, and that's it, and a funny comic on the top. I thought it was funny. And I'm a lazy poster reader myself, so I thought this is easy. But then I thought that it's no good as it is. And I don't know where it came from, the idea, but then I just thought that I'd take a pen, and during the poster session, when I'm talking to the colleagues, I can start adding things on the poster. And this is finally what it looks like, and it's kind of evolving thing, I suppose, and potentially interactive. So you are welcome to use this method if you want in the future. Sure. As it seems to work, at least for once. But anyway, this is what it's all about. It's about reindeer husbandry in Fennoscandia. I come from Finland, and we have Norway and Sweden neighboring us. And the whole project is a Nordic Center of Excellence funded by Nordforsk, which is the funding agency in the Nordic countries. And this is part of a top-level research initiative, Effect Studies and Adaptation to Climate Change. And I would like to acknowledge my colleagues here who have been helping me with this poster, but there are many more people that I would like to thank also. But before I change this slide, I think I need to show you the picture of a real reindeer, how they look in real life, and they don't speak, at least our language. So this is our team. We are from 3 countries. We are 9 institutions, 8 work packages. We have been doing transdisciplinary research with lots of people. We have had PhD students, postdocs, and senior scientists working together. Before I forget, I would like to give our message. We think that the 3 countries, they really should consider changing the reindeer husbandry from what we now think is sectoral, fragmented, nationally governed, and very top-down institutions, something that is transdisciplinary, systemic, international co-design, the buzzwords that we have heard here during these 3 days. And there are good reasons for making this change. We all know that the globe is warming, the Arctic is warming about double that rate, and it means that we get what is called Arctic greening or shrubification. And here's one picture of what it looks like in reality. So we get bushes growing in areas which we used to be just bare. This is willow. You can have willow or birch depending on your soil conditions or edaphic conditions. What is interesting about the tundra biome is that it cannot escape. Many of our other biomes may have an area where they can move, whereas because of the Arctic Ocean, tundra has nowhere to go. It gets a slimmer and slimmer fringe at the edge of the Arctic Ocean, and that's it. Albedo is another matter. Here is a photo of a winter situation in the springtime when the sun is high up in the sky already, but you still have snow on the ground. If you have a tundra area, it's high albedo. But if you have trees, it's darker, and therefore it's a warming element in our climate system. And moreover, there is a complex tundra ecosystem where you have, for example, lots of carbon in the soil, and if you change tundra into a forest, much of that carbon will be released. And although you might think that when you get forest growth, you actually are trapping carbon, it's not the whole story. And finally, of course, from the reindeer perspective, you are losing your pasture diversity by this. So what we suggest is that we can use reindeer as bioengineering method here. Reindeer are able to sustain tundra by grazing the small seedlings of birches that emerge. Here is an example of the border fence between Finland and Sweden. This is for reindeer, not for humans. Yet. Hasn't been used for that so far. And in Finland, we have very few betula trees. It's kind of almost like a tundra, whereas in Norway there is a dense betula forest. If you look at the average annual reindeer densities in these two areas, they are similar, about 2.5 animals per square kilometer. But they have very different pasture rotation systems, so that in Norway, the reindeer are there not during summertime to eat the young birches, but only during winter. So it has an impact. More good reasons to change the current policy. We have been having workshops with reindeer herders, and I should probably show you the system, how reindeer management looks like in this part of the world. So these areas are reindeer herding districts, and they are not always socio-ecologically optimal, hardly ever, because they follow communal borders and so forth, rather than anything meaningful in the nature. And they have top-down maximum number of animals given by the ministries and so forth. And of course, reindeer herders are not at all happy with this situation. So we have been discussing with the herders using workshop methods, and the key messages you can see here, and I think what is important here is that these ones are the important ones. They think that they can cope with climate change. They have always been dealing with changing weather conditions and so forth. But indeed, the lack of self-governance and the sort of lack of stakeholder discussion is their serious bottleneck. So this is my last slide. And it's universal. It's not only for our Tundra project. I think this is a go-co for any of our research. And I am afraid I'm repeating things that have been said already many times here. But we should co-design vision, co-define scenarios, co-decide what needs to be done, co-consider the results between us scientists and the policymakers, co-implement the findings, and also co-appreciate the fact that the world will never be kind of finished or complete or ready. We have to do this forever, although politicians often say that once we have done this, everything is fine. I end up here. I once more want to thank all of you who voted for my poster and gave me this wonderful opportunity to come here again at IIASA and discuss more about these topics. Thank you so much.